The envelope had been taped to her door at eye level. Linda noticed it from the far end of the hallway, a white rectangle against the faded brown paint. She had cleaned 27 hotel rooms that day. A bleach mark streaked one leg of her navy work pants, and her hands still smelled like lemon disinfectant. She set down her groceries and peeled the envelope away carefully. The management company might deduct even chipped paint from her security deposit. There was one sheet inside. When her lease ended in 60 days, the rent would rise from $1,020 to $1,380 a month. If she chose not to renew, she had to leave by November 1st. A lock turned across the hall. Linda folded the letter before her neighbor could see it, carried the groceries inside, and locked the door. The kitchen was stuffy. Linda put away the milk, bananas, bread, and coffee, as though groceries had to be handled before life was allowed to become a problem. Her phone rang. Amanda's name appeared on the screen. "Hey, Mom, you home?" "Just walked in." "You sound weird." Linda smoothed the empty grocery bag. "Long day. You're still coming Sunday, right? Nathan wants to show you a school project." "Of course. Everything okay?" Linda looked at the letter beside the sink. "Everything's fine." The answer came easily. After so many years, it had become automatic. When the call ended, she wrote her expenses on the back of an envelope. Paycheck, rent, electricity, car insurance, gas, credit card, groceries. She removed cable, lowered the grocery estimate, and did the subtraction twice. She would be $438 short every month. At 9:17, a message from Mark appeared. "Need you in at 6 tomorrow. You'll be training the new crew. Bring your room inspection checklists." No one at the Sonoran Palms had mentioned a new crew. Linda set the phone beside the rent notice. The two white rectangles didn't touch, yet she already sensed a connection between them. At 5:48 the next morning, 3 cardboard boxes sat outside the hotel laundry room. Gray uniforms showed through a torn corner. The hotel's uniforms were navy. Rosa came out carrying folded towels. "Those aren't ours," she said. "I know." At 6 strangers in gray shirts entered the break room. Their badges bore the name of an outside staffing company. Mark came in last, looking as though he hadn't slept. "This is a trial period," he said. "The new team will help on high occupancy days. When the hotel needed help, it usually brought in 2 people, not 6. Mark handed Linda a folder. "Walk them through everything. They'll be learning from the best." Linda felt Rosa watching her. If Mark wanted to see her value, she intended to show him. In room 214, she opened the curtains and switched on every light. "Look first. Touch second," she told the group. "If you start cleaning right away, you may miss damage." She showed them weak water pressure, a scratch beside the lock, and a stain on the mattress. She knew which windows stuck, which toilets needed to be flushed twice, and which air conditioner started knocking after 10 minutes. The workers photographed supply shelves and wrote down every procedure. During lunch, Linda found Mark near the front desk. "They're documenting our supplies. The owners want numbers, time per room, products used, anything we can make more efficient. You said they were here to help." "They are." Mark finally looked up. "Linda, this isn't about you. Just help me get through the week." He patted her shoulder and walked away. By 3, Linda had cleaned 9 rooms and corrected the new team's mistakes. In the break room, Rosa was staring at a preliminary schedule posted beneath the current one. 24 hours appeared beside Rosa's name. Beside Linda's, there was nothing. Linda carried the page into Mark's office. "It's a draft," he said. "My name isn't on the draft. The owners are reviewing expenses. Maybe I can give you 20 hours. More if occupancy rises." She had worked 38 the previous week. "For how long?" "Until we see how the new system performs." Mark rubbed his chin. His coffee looked as if it had been cold for hours. "I'm trying to keep as many people here as I can. If costs don't come down, the decision won't be mine." For a moment, Linda saw his fear as clearly as her own. She felt the familiar urge to make things easier for him. "I can work any day," she said. "Call me if someone doesn't show." Some tension left his face. "I knew I could count on you. Thank you for trying to save me some hours." The words came out before she considered what she was thanking him for. Outside, Rosa asked what had happened. "Maybe 20 hours, Linda said. "I told him I'd come whenever they need me." Rosa stared at her. "He just got you to thank him for half a job. Mark doesn't control the budget, but he knows you'll make his problem easier, even when it becomes yours." Linda stepped into the service elevator without answering. After her shift, she stopped at Fry's. At checkout, she asked the cashier to remove the coffee and laundry detergent from her order. Sitting in her car, Linda remembered being 13, watching her mother leave a can of peaches beside a register because there wasn't enough money. Her mother had gripped the steering wheel afterward and said, "Never let people see that you don't have enough. They'll start looking at you differently." Linda opened a job search site. A nearby hotel was hiring full-time housekeepers for 40 cents less an hour and a longer commute. The other listings offered overnight shifts or the same pay she already earned. Changing hotels would mean changing uniforms and learning new names. The numbers would stay the same. On Sunday, Linda arrived at Amanda's house with chicken, vegetables, and poster board for Nathan's desert project. Though Amanda had asked her not to bring anything, Nathan pulled her toward a cardboard landscape on the kitchen table. One modeling clay cactus leaned toward the road. "That's a saguaro," he said. "They can live more than 100 years. Then this one still has time to learn how to stand straight." During dinner, Linda asked questions, passed plates, and gave everyone more green beans. When Amanda's husband began clearing the table, Linda took the dishes from him. "You cooked," he said. "It's no trouble." Amanda followed her to the sink. "Are they cutting your hours?" "The schedule isn't finished." "How much less?" Linda scrubbed a skillet that was already clean. "Everything's fine. You always say that when you don't want me asking questions. I came to see my family, not talk about work." Amanda picked up a towel and dried a plate that was already dry. Neither looked at the other. At home, Linda applied to 2 hotels. The third application asked for a professional reference. Listing Mark might cost her the occasional shifts he had promised. She pulled an old address book from a drawer and found a name she had not called in years. Denise Carter. Work. Denise had managed housekeeping before Mark. 8 years earlier, she had offered Linda a shift supervisor position. Linda had laughed and said she wasn't management material. The truth was that she had been afraid everyone would discover she had no idea what she was doing. Denise answered after the 4th ring. "Linda Hayes," she said. "Do you still make beds like they're about to be inspected by the military?" Linda laughed. "Pretty much." "Did something happen?" "I need a reference." "Are they cutting staff?" "Nothing has been decided." "So they're cutting staff." They met the following afternoon at a coffee shop. Denise's hair had turned nearly gray, but she spoke as directly as Linda remembered. "I'll give you a reference." Denise said, "But what do you actually want?" "A stable job." "That's not an answer." "I'm 52. I clean rooms. I don't think I have many choices." Denise pushed her cup aside. "You were already managing people when I offered you that supervisor job. You just didn't have the title or the pay." Linda looked down at her coffee. "A property owner I work with needs a move-out cleaning." Denise continued. "My crew is booked." "How much does he pay?" "Look at the house. Then name your price." "What if I ask for too much?" "He'll say no." Denise waited. "Someone saying no to you is not an emergency." The house had 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a kitchen covered in grease. Mr. Barrett needed it ready for prospective tenants in 2 days. "What will it cost?" he asked. Linda wanted to say $300. $180. "That works." He agreed so quickly that she knew she had asked for too little. Linda spent 10 hours cleaning and bought some supplies herself. She also photographed damp beneath the sink, a cracked pane in the back door, and broken blinds. When Mr. Barrett inspected the house, he opened cupboards and studied the rooms. "Denise said you were a good cleaner." She didn't mention the damage inspection. "I always check before I start." He paid the agreed $180 and added a $20 tip. After Linda subtracted supplies, gas, and 10 hours of labor, the amount no longer looked generous. That evening, a woman named Carol called. Mr. Barrett had given her Linda's number. Could you clean an empty house next week? Linda almost quoted a price immediately. I'd like to see it first, she said. Then I can tell you what the job will cost. By the end of September, the gray shirts no longer looked out of place at the Sonoran Palms. The new crew knew the supply rooms, the linen schedule, and Linda's inspection routine. In room 308, one of them asked about extended stay procedures. Good thing we're learning everything now, the woman said. Once they turn all the floors over to us next month, there won't be time. Linda stopped smoothing the bedspread. All the floors. The woman's expression changed. Maybe I misunderstood. No, I think you understood perfectly. Linda found Mark in the conference room. They're replacing us. He closed his laptop. The outside company will handle most rooms starting in mid-October. I was waiting for final confirmation. They knew before we did. I'm trying to keep some staff for inspections and difficult rooms. My name wasn't on the schedule because you're part of the transition team. They need you to train them for 6 weeks. And after that, Mark looked toward the window. I'll try to keep a few shifts for you. Linda stared at the Christmas staff photograph behind him. She stood in the front row, holding a paper plate with cake. You knew when you asked for my checklists. I knew it was possible. If costs don't come down, I could lose my job too. But no one asked you to write instructions to the person taking over your office. His lips tightened. That isn't fair. I know. Mark admitted he had needed time and needed the hotel to keep running. You needed me to keep working, Linda said. He didn't deny it. That evening, he emailed her a 12-page procedure manual and asked her to complete it by Monday. Linda began typing from habit. On the 3rd page, she saw the rent notice beside her laptop and the word short $438 on her budget. She closed the document and replied, I can complete the manual during my scheduled paid hours. I won't be able to work on it from home. She read the message 3 times before pressing send. At 6:12 Saturday morning, Mark called. 2 people had canceled. He needed her at 7. Linda was loading supplies into her trunk for Carol's house. I can't come today. You said you were available. When I'm free, do you have something important? The old Linda would have invented an excuse he might consider acceptable. I have another job. A one-time cleaning job? Mark exhaled. I can't guarantee shifts if I can't count on you. Linda gripped the phone. I understand. She ended the call and drove away. For the first time in 22 years, she didn't cancel her own plans because the hotel had suddenly decided it needed her time. Carol's house took 9 hours. Linda charged $260 and another $20 to remove trash from the garage. Mr. Barrett said you charge him less, Carol said. Something tightened in Linda's stomach. His house was different. In truth, it had been larger and dirtier. But Linda held her price. Carol paid, then gave Linda's number to her sister. Her sister passed it to a woman preparing a house for sale. Soon Linda was working shortened hotel shifts and private jobs, while receipts for gas, gloves, trash bags, and cleaning products filled an old bowl on her kitchen table. The payments looked good. What remained after expenses was harder to see. With 22 days left on her lease, Linda toured 9 apartments. None fit what she could afford after deposits and fees. At last, she called Amanda. An hour later, she placed a rent notice on her daughter's kitchen table. Amanda read the date. You got this almost a month ago. I was looking for another place. And you didn't tell me. I didn't want to worry you until I had a solution. Do you have one? Linda looked down. No. Amanda pushed back her chair. Stay with us. 3 months. The spare room is mostly boxes and plastic dinosaurs. You have your own family. I'll pay you. We'll work out groceries later. First, stop pretending this isn't happening. I'm not asking you to solve my problem. Good, Amanda said. Then, let me be there while you solve it. During her final days in the apartment, Linda sold a couch, gave away a bookcase, and packed everything else into her car and Amanda's husband's pickup. Before leaving, she spent nearly 4 hours cleaning the empty rooms. Mom, that's enough, Amanda said. This place is cleaner than when you moved in. Linda ran one finger along the windowsill. No, dust remained. She dropped her apartment key into the management office box. Amanda held out a spare key to her house. Linda accepted it, but instead of adding it to her ring, she placed it separately in her pocket. She had no idea how long it would be before she had another door she could truly call her own. One box of Nathan's toys remained in the spare room. A plastic dinosaur with a broken tail stood on the windowsill. Linda put away each morning, only to find it there again at night. Nathan said the dinosaur was guarding her room. Linda kept her clothes inside her suitcase, folded the blanket as soon as she woke, and never left toiletries in the bathroom. The spare key remained on the dresser, separate from her own keys. During her first week, she completed 4 cleaning jobs. The money went into the same account she used for gas, groceries, and her credit card. Within days, she could no longer tell which part of the balance was income and which part belonged to future expenses. One evening, Amanda looked at the bowl overflowing with receipts. Are these all from the past month? I'll sort them. When? Linda heard criticism where Amanda had asked a question. You're looking at me like I don't understand anything. I'm looking at a bowl full of paper, Mom. Not at you. The next morning, Linda bought a cheap expanding folder and labeled the sections gas, supplies, and payments. That evening, Amanda showed her a simple spreadsheet. When every amount was entered, Linda saw that she had earned much less than she had imagined. But for the first time, she knew the exact number. 2 days later, she opened a separate account for the cleaning work. The banker asked what name she wanted to use. Linda looked at her ring of client keys. One had a metal tag stamped with a cactus. Desert Key Home Care, she said. Her first written estimate was $325 for a 3-bedroom move-out. The reply arrived 10 minutes later. That's more than we expected. We found someone who will do it for $200. Linda typed. I can lower it to $225. Then remembered the 10 hours at Mr. Barrett's house and deleted the message. The client never contacted her again. For 2 days, rejection felt like proof that she had overestimated herself. Then a woman referred by Carol accepted a $340 estimate without bargaining. Linda called Rosa and offered $20 an hour for 6 hours, supplies included. What if we finish early? Rosa asked. I'll pay you for 6. They finished in 5.5. Linda paid Rosa immediately, reserved money for supplies, and made a $100 credit card payment. The debt was still frightening, but this time she didn't close the app. The next morning, a man called. Is this Linda with Desert Key? She still wasn't used to hearing someone else say the name. Yes. I'm Owen Price. I have 12 rental properties, and I need someone who can service all of them. Owen chose a coffee shop near the University District. He was younger than Linda expected, with his sleeves rolled up and 2 phones beside a folder of addresses. The 12 houses and apartments were scattered across Tucson. Guests often checked out 11, with the next group arriving at 4. The last crew couldn't keep up, Owen said. One place isn't ready, and I'm issuing refunds. How many checkouts each week? 8 to 15. More around holidays. I have one person who can help me. In reality, Rosa had worked with her once. Owen showed Linda the flat rates. If she completed 10 cleanings a week, she could earn more than she ever had at the hotel. Who buys supplies? The crew. Add them to the invoice. Urgent returns? Sometimes. The steady volume balances it out. Payment would come every 2 weeks. The preliminary terms included standard additional guest needs and repeat inspections as required, but did not define availability, extra trips, or what happened when a guest complaint wasn't the cleaner's fault. And the full contract. Linda asked, after the first 2 weeks, we need to make sure we're a good fit. Her phone vibrated. Mark's name appeared. Linda stepped toward the window to answer. There won't be regular shifts for now, he said. Maybe occasional inspections. How many hours a week? I can't promise any. Linda looked at the 12 addresses on Owen's table. When should I clear my locker? By the end of the week, but we may call again. Mark paused. Private cleaning isn't the same as a steady paycheck. I don't have a steady paycheck anymore. When Linda returned to the table, Owen asked whether the schedule change would prevent her from taking the properties. She saw the vague terms and knew she should take them home. calculate expenses, and speak to Rosa. But Mark's words echoed in her mind. "No," she said, "it won't." Owen placed a heavy ring of 12 color-coded keys on the table. "I need your final answer tonight. If you can't take the work, I have to find another crew." He wasn't threatening her. He sounded like a man who couldn't leave 12 rentals without service. Linda closed her hand around the keys. "I'll take it." That evening, she arranged them across Amanda's kitchen table and copied each address into a notebook. The receipt folder sat unopened beside her, but Linda looked only at the keys. She didn't see 12 homes belonging to other people. She saw a path toward one of her own. For the first 2 weeks, Linda checked Owen's calendar before getting out of bed. 2 properties became 4 overnight. A Monday checkout moved to Sunday. A standard cleaning suddenly included extra towels, a portable crib, or a trip across town for coffee. Linda always replied the same way. "Okay, we'll handle it." The first payment put more money in the Desert Key account than she usually earned in 2 weeks at the hotel. Linda took a screenshot and looked at it several times that day. Maybe private cleaning could become something better. Then one Saturday, late guests delayed the first of 3 turnovers. Owen asked Linda and Rosa to collect a crib from another neighborhood. Rosa stayed an extra hour to finish the last property before check-in. "Put me down for 7 hours, Rosa said. "Of course. When will I be paid?" Friday after Owen's transfer. Rosa's expression changed. "We agreed after the job." Linda suddenly saw the hotel payroll office, where Rosa had once waited for Mark to correct missing hours. "I'll pay you today." She made the transfer while they stood in the kitchen. The business balance dropped, but the property was ready at 3:58. The next morning, Owen forwarded a guest review praising the spotless house. "This is exactly the reliability I need," he wrote. Linda read the message several times. Over the next month, she bought a second vacuum, extra sheets, and bulk cleaning products. She charged some of it to her credit card because supplies had to be purchased before Owen's payment arrived. She worked 6 or 7 days a week. By evening, her hands hurt so badly that she held her coffee mug with both palms. Still, every payment notification felt like evidence that she was succeeding. Amanda found a studio apartment listing open on Linda's laptop. "How much is left after gas, supplies, and Rosa?" she asked. "I haven't finished a month." "But you're tracking it." "Not every day." "What's your net profit?" Linda closed the laptop. "I'm working. The clients are happy. Isn't that enough?" Amanda looked at the dark screen. "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." The following day, Linda noticed a thin dark line on the floor beside a water heater at Owen's Calle Verde property. The area was dry. She took a picture. There may have been a small leak here. "It's dry now, but someone should check it." Owen replied that a repairman would come Monday. On the way to the next house, Linda heard a metallic knock beneath her car's hood. She had been meaning to visit a mechanic, but there was no open day on her calendar. When the noise stopped, she turned up the radio and kept driving. At 6:40 Monday morning, Owen's call woke her. "The Calle Verde kitchen is flooded. The flooring is damaged." Linda sat up. "I sent you a picture." "A picture of a stain. You didn't say it was urgent." "The floor was dry." "Did the repairman go?" "He was supposed to go today." "Today is Monday." His voice sharpened. "Until we know who should have caught this sooner, I'm putting all payments on hold." Linda was due to pay Rosa, make a credit card payment, and buy supplies for 4 properties. "You can't withhold payment for work already completed." "I can if your negligence caused financial damage." The call ended. The calendar with 12 addresses remained open on Linda's screen. The day before, it had looked like proof that she was escaping poverty. Now she wondered whether she had simply been too busy to notice that it had found her again at the Calle Verde house. Part of the wall had been removed and water had seeped beneath the laminate. A repairman said the valve had probably leaked for some time before failing overnight. Could she have known on Saturday? Owen asked. "I don't know what she saw." The man replied, "A picture is enough." Owen turned to Linda. "At the hotel, would you just send a message?" "At the hotel, maintenance was in the building. I notified the owner here, and I expected someone with 20 years of experience to tell me if it was dangerous. I'm not a plumber. I asked you to notice problems. I didn't notice it. Owen looked exhausted rather than cruel. The repairs, refund, and loss reservation would cost him more than Linda's invoice. His fear was understandable. His decision was still unfair. I'll send a complete report, Linda said. An invoice for all completed work. Send it. When will I be paid? When we sort this out. That wasn't a date. That evening, Linda and Amanda entered every payment receipt, supply purchase, payment to Rosa, and credit card charge into the spreadsheet. Owen was withholding $4,380. Even if he paid all of it, Linda had earned less per hour over the previous 2 months than she had at the hotel. That can't be right, Linda said. A lot more money came in. Most of it went back into the work. I was busy every day. Being busy and making a profit aren't the same. Linda closed the laptop. You never believed I could do this. Amanda slowly moved her hands away from the keyboard. I wanted you to succeed so badly. I let you turn our kitchen into an office. But I can't change the numbers so you won't be angry. Linda paid Rosa using the money she had saved for moving. Less than $500 remained in her reserve. Then she called Denise. Did you know what Owen was like? After Linda described the leak and withheld payment, Denise asked, Why did you work for 2 months without a full contract? Because you gave him my number. I gave you a contact, Linda. I didn't agree to his terms for you. You said I could work for myself. You can. Owen has no right to withhold payment for completed work. But no one except you could set your prices, schedule, or rules. Linda wanted Denise to say none of it was her fault. If I tell you that, Denise continued, you may feel better today, but nothing changes tomorrow. Linda ended the call without saying goodbye. The next morning, the knocking under her hood returned. A warning light appeared, and Linda barely reached the drugstore parking lot before the engine died. 2 hours later, she sat in a repair shop with a $790 estimate. The mechanic said the earlier noise had been a warning. Without her car, she couldn't reach clients. Owen wasn't paying, and her reserve was nearly gone. Linda called Mark. Do you have any hours for me? Maybe on-call shifts, he said. 8 hours tomorrow. After that, it depends. I'll take it. If I put you back on the list, I need to know you're available. Sometimes I can only give you a few hours' notice. That meant keeping whole days open, unable to book private jobs. Linda looked at the repair estimate. Okay, she said. The next morning, she put on her Navy uniform again. On the 3rd floor, she found her inspection checklist printed on gray paper, laminated, and marked with the outside company's logo. At the bottom were the words, Southwest Hospitality Team, Standard Procedure. Her name was nowhere on the page. Linda cleaned 11 rooms. The work was familiar. The schedule was clear. At the end of the day, she didn't have to send an invoice or remind anyone to pay. For several hours, the relief felt like proof that Mark had been right. Maybe she had been happier when someone else decided when she worked and what her time was worth. Amanda's husband picked her up because the car was still at the shop. When they reached home, everyone had eaten and left her a plate in the refrigerator. Linda ate, washed her dish, wiped the counter, and began cleaning fingerprints from the refrigerator. It was nearly 11 when Amanda came in. What are you doing? Cleaning. Why? You feed me. Your husband drives me. I live in your spare room. Amanda took the cloth from her. You don't have to work off every plate of food. I don't want to be a burden. If you don't cook, clean, or pay for anything, will you still let me love you? Linda opened her mouth, but couldn't answer. You're my mother, Amanda said, not my employee. The house was quiet. Linda looked at the cracked skin around her nails and remembered her mother's warning. Never let people see that you don't have enough. She had believed it taught strength. Now she saw the other side. If she never let anyone see what she lacked, no one could help without fighting through her defenses. I don't know how to stay here without giving something back, Linda said. Amanda sat across from her. Then start by telling the truth. Linda lowered herself into the chair. I'm scared. Amanda didn't promise that everything would be fine. She reached across the table. This time, Linda didn't pull her hand away. After Amanda went to bed, Linda opened every envelope she had been avoiding. Credit card, car repair, insurance, phone bill, Owen's unpaid invoice. She wrote each amount on one sheet of paper, without rounding anything down or setting one bill aside. The next morning, Mark texted, "Be ready tomorrow at 5. I'll confirm the shift as soon as I know." Linda stared at the list of debts, then replied, "I can work if the shift is confirmed by 6 the evening before. I can't keep an entire day open without confirmation." Mark called immediately. "That isn't how the on-call list works." "Then it doesn't work for me. You agreed yesterday." "Yesterday, I was afraid I had no other choice." "And today you aren't afraid?" Linda looked at the numbers in front of her. "I am, but I still can't give away an entire day for free." After the call, she prepared an itemized invoice for Owen. She attached dates, addresses, photographs, and his reply to the message about the leak. She wrote that she would accept no new assignments until the completed work was paid. Owen answered, "You're walking away while the damage issue is unresolved?" Linda typed, "The damage and payment for completed work are separate issues. I'm willing to discuss both, but I won't combine them." Then she removed the 12 keys from her ring. One by one, they struck the kitchen table. She sealed them in a padded envelope and wrote Owen's address on the front. Only Amanda's spare key remained. This time, Linda did not put it separately in her pocket. She attached it to the ring. Owen called 3 days after receiving the keys. "I reviewed your report and the water heater message," he said. "I still think you should have called." "Maybe, but you received a message and chose to wait until Monday." He exhaled. "We don't need to argue again. Then tell me when I'll be paid." Owen offered $3,800 and said he would hold the rest until repairs were complete. "The other properties had nothing to do with the leak," Linda said. "My employees, supplies, and gas still had to be paid. I lost considerably more than you did." "I understand." Then Linda stopped talking. A few months earlier, she would have listed every hour she worked and every sacrifice she made. She would have tried to make Owen feel how badly she needed the money. Now she let the silence stand. $4,100, he finally said. "That closes every invoice." Linda looked at the $4,380 in her notebook. She could fight for weeks over the final $280. "Will you transfer it today?" "Today." "All right. Could you return to some of the properties?" "I'm having scheduling problems." "No, I could raise the rate." "It isn't only the rate. That schedule no longer works for me." "You did good work." "I know." Linda said it without anger and without waiting for him to confirm it. She didn't post about Owen in local groups or try to damage his reputation. She saved the messages, photographs, and payment record in a folder labeled closed. She wasn't protecting him from consequences. She was refusing to build her future around punishing him. When the money arrived, Linda paid the repair shop, reduced the credit card balance, and left the rest in the business account. Her phone rang much less in the weeks that followed. The silence frightened her. Several times, she opened her client list and began typing discount offers. Instead, she sent new terms, prices set after inspection, urgent work billed separately, materials listed on the invoice, additional tasks approved in writing, payment due on a specific date. 2 clients declined. 1 found a cheaper crew. Carol booked another job. Mr. Barrett asked her to prepare a second house. A man whose mother's apartment she had cleaned accepted the terms immediately. Linda had less work, but more money remained at the end of each week. She offered Rosa 2 scheduled days. At a diner after Rosa's hotel shift, Linda placed 1 page on the table. Hours, rate, and payday are there. Rosa read it. "What if the client doesn't pay?" "That's my problem. You'll still be paid Friday." "I can't leave the hotel yet." "I'm not asking you to. And if I can't take one of the days, tell me ahead of time. I won't keep you on call." Rosa smiled faintly. "You've learned a lot. I paid enough for the lesson." A few days later, Linda brought Denise coffee. "I shouldn't have ended our call without saying goodbye." "No, you shouldn't have. I wanted you to tell me none of it was my fault." "I know. And I was angry when you wouldn't." Denise took a sip. "Did Owen pay?" "Most of it." "Are you going back?" "No." Denise nodded. "Then maybe you really are ready to work for yourself." In the past, Linda would have treated the words as permission. Now, they were simply another person's opinion. For months later, Linda rented a studio apartment small enough to fit her real budget. She read every line of the lease before signing. Amanda helped move her suitcases and folding kitchen table. Nathan put the broken-tailed dinosaur on the windowsill. Now, he can guard this room, he said. Only temporarily. Why? Linda adjusted the dinosaur. Because one day, I'm going to have more rooms. The apartment had no couch. Linda ate at the folding table on a chair Amanda had given her. But after rent, she knew exactly what remained for gas, groceries, and debt. The number was small. It was also real. That evening, Mark called. We're having serious problems with the outside company, he said. I want to offer you a contract, a significant part of the hotel. When Linda entered the Sonoran Palms conference room the next morning, a folder marked Desert Key Home Care lay beside 2 cups of black coffee. The outside crew had missed deadlines, failed inspections, and lost workers. The owners had given Mark 1 month to fix the situation. I need someone who knows this hotel, he said. The contract covered nearly half the rooms, extended stay turnovers, inspections, and urgent requests. The fixed monthly payment exceeded everything Linda had earned the previous year. How many workers? She asked. 4, 5 during busy weeks. Who buys supplies? You do. Laundry, your responsibility. Emergency shifts? Included. The contract required Linda to find replacements for absences and absorb any reasonable increase in rooms. What does reasonable mean? She asked. Mark rubbed his temple. Linda, this amount could change your life. Don't make it more complicated than it is. That was exactly why she refused to rush. At home, Linda spread the contract across her folding table. She calculated wages, supplies, laundry, gas, emergency calls, scheduling, and inspections 3 times. To make a profit, she would have to pay workers almost as little as a hotel had paid her, or demand that they clean more rooms in less time. Rosa studied the numbers the next day. Maybe everyone has to start that way, she said. Once more clients come, you could raise the rates. Linda recognized the hope. It was the same hope that kept her working under Owen's vague terms. Agree now, fix it later. What if more clients never come? Linda asked. Rosa had no answer. Linda prepared a counterproposal. It set a maximum number of rooms, separate emergency fees, reimbursement for supplies and laundry, fair employee wages, and additional payment when a hotel exceeded the agreed volume. Her price was considerably higher. Mark read it in silence. The owners won't approve this. Then I can't take the contract. Other companies work for less. I've seen how they work. Mark pushed the proposal away. This is your chance to be on the right side of the system. Which side is the right one? The side where you manage people and keep the profit. And the people I hire live the way I did, that isn't what I said. It's what the numbers say. Mark went to the window. If I don't fix this, the owners will replace me. I'm not trying to cheat you. I'm trying to keep the hotel running. Linda believed him. He had not plotted to keep her poor. He was afraid of losing his job and had learned to pass that pressure to people least likely to say no. For years, Linda had been one of those people. I understand, she said. Then help me. Linda closed the folder. Not under these terms. You'll lose the biggest contract you've ever been offered. Linda wanted to explain the months of fear, the room filled with Nathan's toys, the withheld payment, and the broken car, but none of it changed the numbers. Yes, she said. She carried her proposal outside and sat in the car with shaking hands. Turning down the contract didn't make her feel powerful. It felt like she had refused the only opportunity she might ever receive. But fear did not send her back inside. Mark called 4 days later. They rejected the full contract at your price, he said, but they approved a smaller scope, extended stays, difficult turnovers, and peak days, at your rates. Linda asked about the maximum rooms, emergency fees, supplies, and notice. Then she said, send me the document. So you agree? I'll read it. 2 days later, Linda read every page in the conference room. She asked Mark to clarify 2 sections, crossed out 1 clause, and rewrote another. Only then did she take out her pen. I didn't think you would actually walk away, Mark said. Linda looked at the signature line. Neither did I. She signed. Linda did not get half the hotel. She did not become wealthy overnight or prove that Mark had lost. She received less work than he had first offered. But every hour inside the Sonoran Palms now had an agreed price. When the first full contract payment arrived, Linda paid Rosa, reserved money for expenses, and reduced the credit card balance. Then she opened a savings account. In the account name field, she typed home. She transferred $200. The road to a home of her own no longer began with someone else's keys. It began with money left after she had paid herself and everyone else fairly. For years later, Linda still woke early, but her alarm rang at 6:15 instead of 4:50. Every Friday, she reviewed the Desert Key accounts from a small office. Payroll came first, then supplies, gas, and emergency reserve. Only after that did she pay herself. Rosa and another woman named Melanie worked set hours with scheduled days off and clear responsibilities. Linda never called them family, when what she meant was unpaid labor. If a client added a room, she changed the invoice. If someone wanted Sunday service, she charged an emergency rate or declined. At first, every no left a knot in her stomach. Eventually, it went away. The Sonoran Palms contract remained part of her business, but it no longer shaped her life. One morning, Mark asked her to prepare 8 extra rooms by 4. We can do 4, Linda said. 8 requires a rush fee. The owners won't like it. Then we'll do 4. After a pause, Mark said, send me the price for 8. He never apologized for the past or admitted Linda had always been right. Sometimes he still called her terms rigid, but he honored the contract. That was enough. Linda no longer needed Mark to understand every pain his decisions had caused. She had stopped rehearsing speeches that would make Owen see what his terms had cost her. Both men remained part of her experience, but neither lived in her mind rent-free. At the end of the 3rd year, Linda paid off her credit card. She watched the balance change to 0 from her car outside the bank. She had imagined she might cry or feel like a different person. Instead, she put the phone in her purse and drove to pottery class. Her first mug came out uneven, with an oversized handle and a bottom that wobbled. Linda kept it. Every Tuesday, she returned to the community center studio, where no one knew her as the best housekeeper at the Sonoran Palms or the owner of Desert Key. She was simply a woman learning to work with clay and sometimes ruining the shape. She liked being an awkward beginner. Linda also began taking days off. She traveled to San Diego with Amanda and Nathan. She drove alone to a home furnishing show in Phoenix and stayed overnight, though she could have returned the same evening. She no longer explained to herself why she deserved a hotel room. The home account grew slowly. Some months she added $100, in good months $500 or more. When her car needed another repair, she used the emergency fund rather than the house money. The purchase was delayed 6 months. The old Linda would have seen the delay as proof the dream wasn't meant for her. Now she changed the date on her plan. At 56, Linda found a small 2-bedroom house on the outskirts of Tucson. The kitchen cabinets were old, a bathroom tile was cracked, the yard was overgrown with dry grass, and the air conditioner started with a loud shudder. But the payment fit her budget, and money would remain in reserve. During the final walkthrough, she stood in the empty kitchen listening to the air conditioner hum. It will probably need replacement within a few years, the woman showing the house said. I know. You still want to make an offer? Linda ran her hand over the old countertop. Yes. On closing day, she read every page, asked questions, and had one number corrected before signing with her own pen. When the keys were handed to her, she didn't squeeze them in her palm. She simply placed them in her purse. Amanda, Nathan, Rosa, and Denise helped her move. Nathan was 9 now, but he pulled the same broken-tailed dinosaur from the last box. Which room is mine? The 2nd bedroom isn't only yours, but I can sleep there whenever you want. He placed the dinosaur on the windowsill. Then he'll guard it. They ordered pizza and ate from paper plates at Linda's old folding table. When everyone finished, Linda stood to gather the trash. Amanda touched her arm. Leave it. Linda looked at the empty cups and crumpled napkins. Then she sat back down. Later, on the porch, Amanda hugged her. "Do you ever wish none of it had happened?" Linda looked at the key in her hand. "I'm not grateful for the fear or for the way people treated me," she said. "But I don't want to erase those years anymore. If nothing had changed, I might still be waiting for someone else to decide how much I was worth." "So you're grateful to Mark?" Linda smiled. "No, I'm grateful to myself for finally stopping the wait." When the last car disappeared around the corner, Linda went inside. Boxes filled the rooms. Pizza crumbs lay on the floor, and paper plates remained in the sink. Tomorrow she would unpack, call someone about the air conditioner, and buy a shower curtain. Linda walked to the kitchen window. A thin line of dust lay along the sill. She reached to wipe it away, then stopped. Instead, Linda opened the window. Warm evening air moved through the kitchen. Somewhere nearby, a dog barked. A television played. A car passed, and someone laughed in the backyard. Linda poured water into her uneven ceramic mug and sat at the folding table. She placed the keys beside her, then pushed them aside to make room for the last slice of pizza. The keys were no longer proof that she had become worthy of security. They simply opened the door. The thin line of dust remained on the windowsill. The window was open. Her dinner was growing cold, and Linda sat in her own home without trying to earn the right to stay.